Hello, you guys. Welcome to Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. I'm your host, Dr. Jefferson, and this is kind of like a Wellness Wednesday check in. So not like a show, right? It's just me checking in with you guys. I'm gonna kind of make myself a couple of notes to kind of like check in on you guys, see how you're doing in those different areas or whatever. So I know for those of you who are maybe viewing me for the first time, you guys probably don't know this is an accountability channel. We typically have discussions around issues that affect people who are a part of the Black and Brown melanated community in the United States and abroad. Um, and impact our legacy lines. We have those kinds of discussions. And of course, we know that we are in the middle of a global pandemic right now. So many people are sick and so many people are recovering from being sick. Hey, I've been sick. I'm kind of like cycling, right? Um, so it's really important that we protect our energy right now, but also that we protect our immune system and that we're doing what we need to do to keep ourselves well. Everything starts in your brain. So the way that you perceive an event, even yourself being sick, is huge. Hey, Miss Sandy, how are you? Um, you can't get well if your mindset remains ill. Okay. So put 100% of your energy into remaining tethered. I am in Atlanta and today is August 18th. So this week um, was our qualifying primary for the qualifying candidacies for the primary election, general election coming up. We're going to elect another mayor in Atlanta, and I think that's a huge thing for us. It's something that's very important for us. I think it's very important for other places who have increased crime rates and unanswered questions. Um, I think that we have to stop putting the excuses on COVID-19 and all of the craziness, right? And we have to take accountability and do better. Um, I announced on my official social media platforms on Monday that my official endorsement goes toward Kasim Reed. He is the previous mayor of Atlanta, and even though there are a lot of unfounded allegations about people that were in his administration, I feel like he's definitely the best bet to reduce crime. Like I've never seen a city so plagued by crime. Like my heart goes out to the young man who was shot and robbed coming out of Lenox. I shop at Lenox consistently. Okay. They are weekly, at least a couple of days a week. And this has to stop. Like, this has to stop. And I think that having a mayor who took a stance to not back our police officers, I think that's what contributed to the increased rate of crime. Seriously, more people have been murdered over the course of this last year than in Kasim's entirety of him being mayor for 2 terms. So, I think that we have to start asking some very difficult questions and we have to start repositioning the people that we elect into office if they're not doing the jobs that they need to be doing, because our people need better oversight, better leadership. And these young people need programs that work to recalibrate the way they respond to negative situations, hostile situations. So that's that part, right? So, other than getting out and voting and helping yourself to do your part in your community so that the numbers can decrease, police can have adequate training and support, and adequate funding, and of course, pay. Um, I think that you guys should also be advocating for your council members to, kind of put the pressure on businesses to start taking care of their employees and also our healthcare system. It's just so much that I think needs work right now. And I feel like we are definitely people who are powerful in our community. We definitely control the dollar in the United States in a huge way, even though sometimes we don't necessarily spend it the way that it probably should be to our benefit. I think that we have to take accountability there, start making better choices. But I want you guys to ask yourself the tough questions and figure out which people you've elected um, into the Senate, um, and into the House? Who are your local elected officials who represent your interests and what those interests are? Start kind of advocating and talking to those folks and letting them know, go to those meetings, because they post those meetings in your local newspaper, and they're free for you guys to sit and observe, but also to speak. So you have to do your part and go and show up and say, hey, this is an issue in my community. I live in zone or district, etc. My house is on this street. I'm noticing an increased amount of robberies or break-ins or et cetera, et cetera. We need more police presence. We need a higher degree of recreational centers, whatever it is that you feel like you need in your community, because you are the eyes and ears of your experience, right? And nobody knows and nobody can provide for you if you don't be a voice for yourself, right? So let's see what you guys got. Robbed and shot right outside of Lenox. And it's crazy because I don't know how many of you live in Atlanta or have been here, but Lenox is the only mall in Atlanta, after the young lady at Chick-fil-A a couple of years. She had a stalker ex-husband, and he showed up at her job and he shot and killed her when she was getting off work. After that, and the situation where a gun dropped out of a young lady's purse at Lenox, this is maybe like 7 or 8 months ago. Police, the entire Atlanta PD, it seems, is inside of Lenox, and we have like 4 levels. So I mean, at every level, every other store, you got a police officer literally posted in observation, and you got police dogs, and we have scanners, those metal detectors at every single entrance of the mall. So it wasn't inside of the mall; it was in the parking lot, in the parking deck, and that's why I keep telling people. I never park in the parking deck. Okay. But then again, I live here. I know that people who visit here, that's probably your first go to, because most people enter the mall from the front entrance, and things like that. But you have to do things that keep yourself safe and tethered. Not only are the police officers and metal detectors farther away from like the parking decks and stuff like that and those structures in the front of the mall, but it's just not safe. It's not safe. And this is daytime. This happened. It's not night. It's like 6 p.m. Um, so yeah, it's terrible. We definitely need Kasim to get back in the office and to do his thing, because he has a long history of making sure those issues are definitely in check. I never had any issues. My business never struggled, and my business is right down the street from Lenox Mall. I just safety issues are now a huge point of concern. Sometimes I'm concerned for my employees, things like that. As a business owner, like, these are things that you don't want to be worrying about, because then you got to pay people hazardous pay and stuff like that just to come into work. Hell, it's already enough for them coming into work when you got to deal with the possible exposure to COVID-19, because everybody's going to be exposed at some point, but you want to make sure that people's families and those people are comfortable as they're getting well, right, at home and stuff like that. So it's just so many levels to it. Why don't you run for office? Oh my God, I got way too many things on my plate. Way too many things. And now definitely wouldn't be a good time to do that. I believe in um taking my time and making sure that my energy, I'm serving in my purpose. So I don't have the time for that. And people's mental health and wellness are like my number one priority right now. And this is a time where it's getting worse. So I can't vacate that to do that, right? But you got people who are very much suited and more qualified, of course, than I am. And this is kind of like what they have a history of doing. That's why I support Kasim, because I think that he's done a great job thus far in his last term. Uh, says, you are right. They need to do what they did to Miami, blah blah blah, catch the criminals before they act. Yeah, yeah. And that's how Kasim was. And let me tell you something. One of the things that for those folks who are in Atlanta, those people who have been here for a while, and you guys understand the work that Kasim Reed did and what it was like then. Um, it doesn't matter if you don't like the guy, okay? He's a pragmatist, and he the outcomes are indisputable. So we have to look at the fact that he has a history of being an attorney. He has law, that law interpretive kind of stance, and then also he has a history of working with the governors that are not necessarily the same party as he is, right? And who don't agree like on the issues that he brings to the table, but he doesn't have this catty, and I hate to say it, I talked about myself and the official urban therapist. We did a panel discussion with a couple of people before. I think Susanna was on that one too, and we talked about women in leadership. Um, when Shirley Chisholm was in office here in Atlanta prior to Kasim, we have to look at who gets the outcomes, who achieves the outcomes, right? So if you're a person who is outcome driven, who is not personally taking offense to the issues that you see coming up, but you're navigating them through a lens of your professionalism, if you're doing a good job at doing that, then I support you. The problem with Keisha is that everything is so personal for her, and she moves off of emotion, and that's one of the main mitigating factors, I think, of women in leadership. Um, most women are not suited to be in those positions. And it just is what it is. So we have to be built in a different way. I think women require more training around regulating and drawing a line of delineation when it comes to making decisions and gauging your emotions and stuff around those issues that happen, when you're in office. So when they broke up, the FBI crime started to climb. Yep, that's pretty much how things are folding out here. I'll be in Atlanta around Christmas. Hopefully, the cold keep the criminals. Oh no, no, no. First of all, it doesn't even get that cold here. Okay. Second of all, it's nothing can keep these people from doing the things that they do. If you're going to be here during the Christmas time, I'm going to say that, make it your business to keep yourself safe and protected. I know that a lot of folks think that it's pragmatic or it's the sensible thing to carry a weapon to defend yourself and things like that. But let me tell you something. More often than not, you put yourself in more danger when you have a weapon, because people can easily turn that weapon and use it against you. And you don't know who the criminal is and what their history and what training they have and things like that. So it's just so many layers there. So, I say protect your peace, travel in numbers, right? But keep yourself traveling in numbers that are folks without a criminal history or without a propensity to just kind of fly off the handle and get really upset and be emotionally reactive and irresponsible in their actions in response to arguments and that kind of stuff, because I've seen that lead to a lot of deaths here lately. What was it? I think we had like 28 shootings, just in the perimeter overnight, one night. And this is leading up to Kasim announcing his official position and candidacy. And I feel like he's making a huge sacrifice in not spending the time with his daughter and stuff. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot, you guys. I feel like we have to do our part though. So do your part. Get out there and vote. Um, Voice your opinion. Find yourself going to these meetings. If you guys are near Capitol Hill, also find yourself advocating there and sitting in on some um, floor committee meetings and Senate meetings and things like that, because that is open to the public. Find yourself doing the things that keep you informed, but also an active part, an active voice saying these are points of contention for me. Okay, so protect your peace, do your part. Understand that we are all systemically connected. I want to make sure I turn to everything. Yeah, the biggest one is grief and processing the way that we deal with our family members who are in hospitals for COVID related illnesses. I want you guys to think a little bit along the lines of isolation doesn't have to be isolation. Okay. So, because you are isolated from everybody else in a hospital facility, because you are navigating your body's reconstruction and fighting off COVID, don't mentally isolate yourself. Okay. Keep yourself emotionally tethered to your family system, but also keep hope alive, right? While you're in there, if you're going through that, because your mindset has a lot to do with your recovery. I'm just going to tell you that. Right? Let's focus on one that helps a lot. Yeah. You know what? I think that's helpful as well. But, one of the main issues here in Atlanta is that we're understaffed because a lot of police officers walked off the job when Keisha said she didn't support them. And that's our current mayor right now. I just sometimes wish she would have just resigned altogether, but it is what it is. I feel like she does a really good job in some things. Just still trying to figure out what those things are as it relates to her job. Um, but there's that part. Uh, so yeah, when your family members are in COVID units or you are, I know that the hospitals are beyond overstaffed right now, and those kinds of things. Just make sure that you guys are doing what you can to keep yourselves balanced, to keep them having positive energy, so they're balanced and they're well enough to fight off this illness and they can move forward. Um, and move into a place of recovery after they are released. Also, for you guys who are separately navigating, going through the symptoms and things like that of being sick, keep yourself away from folks, because here's the other thing: if you are a fully vaccinated person, I'm sure you guys are starting to see those wonderful, handy dandy, reliable statistics come out about the increased cases after over 50% of the population was vaccinated. So I want you guys to just do your own logical processing, okay? And realize that these are still people who are not only becoming affected, but they're also dying. So keep yourselves away from people who, if you're a vaccinated person, stay away from other people who are not vaccinated. That includes your children. Keep yourself at a safe distance. Keep your house microband. Microband is a great way if you're doing it every day. Kind of set yourself an alarm. Um, if you microband the space once a day within the hour of the previous day, you'll stay protected the entirety of you being in your house. Um, any other shared spaces that you share with those folks, do the same thing, because whatever pathogens come into that space are immediately killed, so you can't necessarily spread them. uh do your part, okay? Do your part. If you are a person who is not vaccinated, protect your peace, stay your distance away from other people, and keep yourself protected. um But the main thing is this: within that 3 days of you being vaccinated, you need to make sure that you're staying away from other folks. Period. Okay. Um, because the vaccination is not something that protects you from being infected. So I think that that's the biggest thing that people need to realize. You can still become affected. You can, you know, you're more of a walking ticking time bomb within those 3 days after you got vaccinated, because your immune system has to shut down and then rebuild. That's the way that we formulated the inoculation. So it's not your typical immunization. And I think that's the thing that people got to keep in mind. Okay. So do your part. Okay. And it does not prevent the spread of the virus. It does not. Um, it just changes the way that your RNA is coding the virus inside of your DNA. It's an mRNA virus. That's vaccination. That's what it is. So, have you been vaccinated? No. If the vaccine doesn't work, why take it? So it works to do what it's supposed to do. But I think that accurate information, and they are giving you guys the information. You just most people aren't reading it. So you just have to know what it's designed to do. It's not designed to protect you from the virus. It's not designed to protect other people from being infected after you've been infected. It's only designed to re-encode the way that it's coded, because it's a mutagen. So it mutates when it's inside of your DNA. So it just changed the way that you put it back into the atmosphere, which is supposed to reduce the capacity for it to multiply as fast as it multiplies inside of your DNA. Essentially, that's the easiest way for me to put it. But some people have immune systems that are naturally going to do that, you know. So that is all that I have. If you guys are grieving loved ones and you have to do that at a distance, just understand that nothing is not for nothing. Okay. Everything has a purpose. And you got to do your part to mitigate the spread, protect yourself, protect the people around you, and to protect your peace. So that, my dear, is all that I have. Hopefully I have been insightful and I have given you guys some wellness tips for the day. God, it's so much going around. Okay. Stay away from little babies. They get you sick real quick. But yeah, keep yourselves well. Increase your vitamin A intake, your vitamin D intake, your B complex vitamins, and your vitamin D. And if you guys have some magnesium oxide, and or elderberry, boost up on that. I feel like you can get the vast majority of the vitamins that you need to protect yourself and to boost your immunity from Immunity Aid. It's a great way to get everything all at once. However, I want to make sure that I get the right amount of everything that I need. I tell people to take the magnesium pills. If you guys are going to get magnesium, use Doctor's Own magnesium. It has 100 milligrams per dosage, and it will give you what you need to make sure that your heart and lungs remain healthy, as well as your immunity, so that you can fight off this illness as well. Okay, so that is all that I have, you guys. Shout out to the chat. You guys are always lovely. Like I said, go out, do your part, and make an impact. Later days. Bye.
Who alive can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I rip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bunny. Don't try studying me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. Phenomenon.